everyone, how are you doing today? I am Constance and thank you for joining me in the next episode of my English class. In this lesson we're going to have story time. Once again we're going to have a new story. We're done with George and Venus story and now we're going to start with a new story. This story I will call Haunted House or Cursed House. Okay? If this is your very first time here, thanks for being here, and I hope you continue to be here and be a part of this learning family or this learning forum. Okay, let's get to the story. Jake and Steve had been friends since they were little kids. Growing up in the small town of Bethlehem, they had always been very close, sharing everything from secret to dreams. However, one day while exploring the woods on the outskirts of their town, Jake and Steve stumbled upon an old abandoned house. It was overgrown with vines and weeds and looked like it hadn't been lived in for years. Despite the creepy appearance of the house, Jake was determined to explore it. So he convinced Steve to come along with him, and together they snuck in through a broken window. As they nervously crept through the dusty room, Jake and Steve heard a strange noise coming from the basement of the house. Against their better judgment, they followed the sound down a creaky staircase. Shockingly, in the dimness of the light, they saw a figure hunched over a table, muttering strange words to themselves. As they got closer and closer, they realized it was an old man, surrounded by strange objects and symbols. Suddenly, the old man looked up with widened eyes in fear as he heard Jake and Steve enter. "You shouldn't be here," he said with his voice trembling. "This is a cursed place." But it was too late. The boys had already seen too much. Blood, vials, animal skins and testicles in jars, just to name a few. The wind has us again. The whole man then cast a spell trying to erase their memories, but it just didn't work. Jake and Steve then left the whole house feeling a sense of uneasiness they just couldn't shake off. Over the next few weeks, strange things started happening to them. They kept on having nightmares about the whole man and the strange symbols they had seen at the house. Time and time again, they would hear whispers in the dark and felt like they were being followed or watched. With this sense of uneasiness still lingering around their bodies, Jake and Steve finally decided to return to the house and confront the old man. So they began demanding answers. Reluctantly, the old man began telling them the story of how the house had become cursed, jinxed. A witch had lived here a long time ago and she died, so she placed a curse on the entire property and anyone who would enter it, believing that this house would be her own safe haven in the afterlife. Jake and Steve now realize they would have to break the curse if they ever wanted to feel safe again. Determined, they spent several weeks researching and learning about the witch's craft until they finally found a way to break the curse of the witch. Together, the duo began performing the rituals and broke this unpleasant hoodoo voodoo happenings which seems to be controlling their lives. Suddenly, the whole man then disappeared, and the strange occurrence with the boys seems to stop. Moments later, Jake and Steve left the whole house feeling relieved but also a bit wiser. Reflecting, they knew they had gotten too curious for their own good and vowed to themselves to be more careful in the future. But as soon as they stepped off the property, a swarm of blackbirds began trailing behind them, echoing loudly. Quack, 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 quack. Which had the two boys running through the bushes and screaming repeatedly, "Jesus, Savior divine, help me, help me, help me." That is where the story ends. Thank you guys for listening. I hope you enjoy this story. My name is Constance. Please like, subscribe, share, and tell me if you enjoy this story. All right? Please check the description box below for my merch, and I look forward to seeing you in my next class. Until then, bye-bye.